I've been trying to find the right words to talk about these recent episodes of Cross because I don't want to be overly negative, but I also have to be honest. Right now, it feels like the character of Cross and the show itself might be moving backwards instead of forward. And that's frustrating because the potential is still there. One of the central emotional threads this season is Cross' fractured relationship with his ex Ellie. We learn that they are no longer together because Ellie believes Cross put her directly in the path of a serial killer last season, which was Ed Ramsey. That trauma changed everything. And honestly, I don't blame her for holding that grudge. When someone you love puts you in danger, even unintentionally, that kind of wound doesn't heal easily. Ellie's anger makes sense. Her distrust makes sense. But where the storyline becomes complicated is how she continued to position herself in Cross' life, especially in relation to his children. She's upset when Cross says she shouldn't get involved, yet the boundary he's setting she feels is unreasonable. Cross has been in a dark place. He lost his wife last season. He struggled with anger, conflict, and emotional isolation. We've seen him wrestle through grief in ways that were raw and believable. This season felt like a real opportunity to show Cross' growth. He openly admits that he went to therapy and says he's trying to become a better man. And that's important. And that's progress. And when it comes to his children, Cross actually has a valid point about boundaries. Even the man Ellie is currently dating seemed uncomfortable when she mentioned she was at Cross' house watching his kids. The moment alone suggests the situation isn't as simple or appropriate as Ellie make it seem. Instead, it sometimes feels like the writers are pulling Cross backwards, reopening emotional conflicts without allowing real evolution. Then there's John, Cross' best friend. Last season, their dynamic felt solid. Two men navigating chaos side by side, equal partners in both the investigation and the emotional weight of the job. There was balance there, which was brotherhood. The season introduced tension between them, and while it eventually smooths over, something still feels off. John in particular seems pushed into the background. He's dealing with a massive personal revelation, discovered that his mother is alive and in jail, something he didn't even know. And that kind of news should be emotional explosive. He should shake his foundation, but instead of being explored with depth, it feels sidelined. He's no longer fully integrated into the investigation the way he was before. Rather than standing shoulder to shoulder with Cross, he feels like a supporting piece orbiting Cross' storyline instead of sharing it. And that shift changes the energy of the show, because part of what grounded Cross in season 1 was that partnership and that balance. It says plainly the pairing of Cross and Agent Craig, which most people call her Kayla, doesn't quite land for me. To be honest, I really hate it. There's obvious tension there since the first season, and now a romantic interest, but it feels undeveloped. Now, mind you, she slept with John last season. Instead of elevating Cross' character, it sometimes feels like a filler or worse, distraction. And Agent Craig has her own storyline, which she was part of Operation Bad Religion, and she was a dirty cop, which we don't know what she did other than she is scared of someone named Mastermind. Now let's talk about the bigger thematic swing this season with the introduction of Rebecca and her disciples. It's clear the show is trying to explore mortality, specifically the idea that revenge can turn even righteous people into monsters. On paper, that is a strong concept, but here's the complication in today's political climate where real-life billionaires and corporations even explore vulnerable communities. Rebecca's mission doesn't feel purely vicious whatsoever. Hell, I think she's a hero in this season where these billionaires deserve to die. Her targets are connected to underage immigrant workers being exploited, women stripped of agency, symptoms of wealth and power operating without accountability. Even Rebecca herself is shaped by trauma, losing her mother and being forced to grow up too quickly. So when the show frames her as a villain, it creates more ambiguity that it isn't fully explored. If the story wants to ask whether revenge corrupts, it needs to wrestle more deeply with the injustice that fuels it. Right now, it gestures towards that complexity, but doesn't fully commit. Another issue I have is pacing. The central mystery feels like it's being revealed too quickly. There's not enough time for tension to simmer. Instead of building dread, the narrative moves straight towards exposure. Is this a bad 3 episodes? No. There's still intrigue, there's still a solid concept underneath it all, but the show needs to recalibrate if it wants to maintain suspense. Then we have Lance, the billionaire head of Crestbrook. Right now, we don't know much about him beyond his wealth and his request for police protection after being targeted by the vigilante, which is Rebecca. He feels like a placeholder antagonist, someone positioned at the center of danger but not yet fully developed. If he's meant to symbolize thematic corruption, we need to see more of his psychological, more of his moral framework, more of what makes him tick. Otherwise, he risks becoming just another rich man in a tailored suit. So where does this leave us? The concept is still interesting. The themes of morality and vengeance and grief are still compelling, but right now, feels like Cross is being pulled backwards emotionally. His relationships are strained in ways that feel repetitive rather than transformative. That doesn't mean the season is doomed. It means it needs to be pivot. Because unfortunately, we cannot have this same concept all over again as we have with season 1. And on top of that, there are too many characters that have their own storylines. A stronger emotional payoff, a deeper exploration of his moral gray areas, and a reminder that characters' growth shouldn't be undone just to create drama, because Cross deserves evolution, not regression. Well, let me know in the comments below of what your thoughts about episode 1, 2, and 3. Will I continue to watch Cross season 2? Maybe not. Time will tell. Really want this show to be good, because this show is very rare, especially when you have a lead black character that is in a psychological thriller TV series. And we have something here. It's just the simple fact that the writer is kind of pushing the narrative way too fast with tons of storylines, and to be honest, that we don't care for. I missed the season 1 setup where it's just focusedly based on just Cross and his best friend and dealing with the antagonist, instead of just worrying about each storyline for season 2 and thinking that we're just going to follow the story, and it's just going to get so confusing that no one is not even going to pay attention what is the real reason why Rebecca is doing what she's doing. So like I said before, I may not continue to watch it, but we'll see how this pans out. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and until then, see you later.